all. Hope you all are safe and doing good. I welcome you all to our science class. Let's move on to the quote for the week. Challenge yourself every day to do better and be better. Yes, my dear students, challenges are what which makes life interesting, and overcoming those challenges makes life meaningful. With this motivational quote, we'll move on to the class. Before that, we'll recap what we dealt in previous class. So last class we started with the topic matter. So what is matter? Matter is anything that has mass and occupies space. It can be classified on the basis of chemical compositions like pure substance and mixtures. Pure substance can be further classified as elements and compound, and whereas impure substance classified as homogeneous and heterogeneous mixture. What is a compound? When two or more elements combine chemically to form a new substance with a fixed ratio is known as compound. Can we define mixtures? Mixture contain two or more kinds of elements or compounds or both physically mixed together in any ratio. So I hope you all are clear with the subtopics which was dealt in previous video. The topics to be concentrated in this session are separation of mixtures. Under separation of mixtures, there are 6 methods. So these are the 6 methods we are going to see in this video. So let's move on to our class. In previous class, we dealt with mixtures, right? So what is a mixture? Mixture contain two or more kinds of elements or compounds or both physically mixed together in any ratio. So what are the two types of mixtures? One is homogeneous mixture and another one is heterogeneous mixture. Yes, good. In today's class, we are going to see how to separate those mixtures. Here, we are going to solve the problems brought to us. There are 5 characters we are going to see in this video with their own problems. So, here are those 5 characters. Can we all help them to solve their problem? Let's give them a best solution. Are you ready, students? Yes. So here is the first person coming with the problem. Her name is Steffi. She is a good chef. She used to bake delicious cake. Let's ask her what problem she is facing.
Hi, I'm Steffi. I have prepared delicious cakes for you. The problem that I face now is I'm not having cream to decorate the cakes, but I have a liter of milk in my fridge. Can anyone help me to bring out cream out of that milk?
Yes, she is preparing a cake. She don't have cream to decorate a cake, but has 1 liter milk with her. Can we help her out? We know that from milk we can get butter, ghee and also cream. For Steffi, from milk we need to get a cream, right? Milk has a fine insoluble solids. Now you may arise with a doubt that milk is a liquid. How does it has insoluble solid? Yes, you are right. Milk is a liquid. But we all know that milk has calcium, protein, and also fat in it. Thus, here fat is the insoluble solid. To separate a fine insoluble solids from a solid liquid mixture, a machine is used, that is a centrifuge machine. So this is a centrifuge machine. See how it works?
Is a special machine which is known as centrifugation machine. So we take the homogeneous mixture in test tubes. We put it in a centrifugation machine. There are special places or positions for these test tubes. It is advised to keep the test tubes on opposite ends to balance the machine. Now when we switch on the machine, you see that they are rapidly rotated. When we take it out, we see that the solid, which is heavier in this case, it settles at the bottom, and the clear liquid separates out. That is, it comes on the top.
Yes, so on being rotated by centrifugal force, the heavier solid particles move down and the lighter liquid remains at the top. In Steffi case, to get cream from milk, here is what this process is done.
You switch on the rotating device, and you see that you can separate the cream from the milk. In this, we have used a process known as centrifugation.
Yes, the other best example for centrifugation process is the washing machine. It squeezes out the excess water from the clothes and the process behind it is a centrifugation process. Thus, we were able to separate the cream from milk. And finally, Steffi made a delicious cake. Hooray, we have completed solving one person's problem. So let's move on to the second person problem. Yes, and his name is Blob. Let's ask him what problem he's facing.
I accidentally poured oil into this glass of water. How do I separate the oil from the water?
Oh, so here by mistake he poured oil in water. Here, oil is a liquid and water is also a liquid. They are immiscible liquids. Oil doesn't dissolve with water, right? Here, oil floats in water, whereas oil stays up and the water stays down. For this type of separation, we can use solvent extraction method. What method? It is solvent extraction method. So let's see how it works.
Funnel is a special type of glass funnel which has a stopcock in its stem to regulate the flow of liquid. To separate a mixture of oil and water, follow these steps. Pour the mixture into the separating funnel with the tap closed. Let the mixture stand undisturbed for some time. Two layers separate out. Oil being lighter forms the top layer and water forms the lower layer. Remove the stopper and open the tap to run the water layer into a beaker. You will be left behind with just the upper layer of oil.
Yes, thus we finally separated oil and water. So this is a machine, a funnel, and it has a stopcock. Okay. Thus we can separate the water first, then the oil. This oil can be collected in another container. Thus we solved Blob's problem as well. So we completed two persons problem. So let's move on to the third person. Her name is Tracy. She is also one of a student like you all. Let's ask her what problem she is facing.
I am Tracy from 11th standard. During my practical class, I accidentally mixed ammonium chloride and sodium chloride, and now I want to separate them out. Please help me.
Oh, yeah, during a practical class, she has mixed two salts, which is a sodium chloride salt and a ammonium chloride salt. Sodium chloride salt is nothing but the salt which we use in our day-to-day life. Ammonium chloride is a chemical salt, and she has mixed ammonium chloride and sodium chloride. So, can we all help her in separating these two salts? Yes. Certain solid substance, when heated, it changes directly from solid to gaseous state without attaining liquid state. We would have seen naphthalene balls, right? All would have seen naphthalene balls. It Many would have kept naphthalene balls under your clothes. After few days, those balls won't exist. Why is that? Those balls turns into vapor due to room temperature, and those vapor exist in our clothes and give fragrance. So here the salt ammonium chloride, when heated, it changes directly into gaseous state. The vapors, when cooled, give back the solid substance. This process is known as sublimation. So Let's see a short video of sublimation process.
Ammonium chloride changes directly from the solid to the gaseous state on heating. This is known as sublimation. So, to separate a mixture that contains a salt and a sublimable solid, such as ammonium chloride, you can use the process of sublimation. Take the mixture in a china dish and cover it with an inverted funnel fitted with a cotton plug. Heat the mixture. In a short while, you will see vapors of ammonium chloride. Stop heating and allow the setup to cool. You will see a fine white powdery deposit on the sides of the funnel. This is solidified ammonium chloride. Solids like camphor, naphthalene, and anthracene are examples of solids that sublimate.
Yes. So here the ammonium chloride gets vaporized and it stays in this funnel. When it gets cooled down, we can take this solidified ammonium chloride. Okay. Thus we were able to separate the ammonium chloride salt and the sodium chloride salt settles in this china dish. So this process is known as sublimation process. Thus, we finally help Tracy to separate the two salts. Here is the next person coming with a problem. A small boy. He is a small boy. His name is Jehoshua. He is just a 7-year-old boy. Okay, let's ask him what problem actually he is facing.
I am Jeho. My mother's birthday is arriving soon. So for her birthday surprise, I thought of making gulab jamun. But for sugar syrup, instead of sugar, I mixed salt with water. Can you help me out to separate salt and water?
Oh, yeah. So he was preparing sugar syrup, but by mistake he added salt instead of sugar. Thus it became salt solution. Now we need to help him in separating both the salt and the water. Students, hope you understood what problem Jeho is facing. Can we all help him? So here, salt is solid and water is liquid, right? Salt dissolves well with liquid. The best solution to separate a solid from liquid is evaporation. So when you heat the salt solution, the water gets vaporized and the salt sediments in the beaker, right? This is what happens, right? The water gets vaporized. Process is known as evaporation, and the process of collecting those vaporized water is known as the condensation. So this is what a condensation. The steam can get collected and those water droplets can be collected in a beaker which gives the purified water. In Jeho case, we are going to take these two process, which is the evaporation process and the condensation process combined, is known as the simple distillation method. So let's see the simple distillation method. So in a retort, this is a retort, we have taken the salt water and it is allowed to be heated. Once it is heated, it reaches the boiling point, the steam arises, right? The steam arises and those steams will get, has been collected and those steams gives the droplets of water. Those droplets of water gets collected, which is known as the condensed water, and thus the final salt gets sediments in the retort itself. Thus we got the water as well as the salt. Thus we separated salt and water from the salt solution. Am I making it clear? So this method is known as simple distillation method. And this process where the vapor of water turns into water is called as condensation. So Distillation is a process of obtaining pure liquid from a solution. Thus, distillation is equal to evaporation plus the condensation. So these two process, which is the evaporation and condensation, takes place in known as the simple distillation method. This method can be used to separate two or more miscible liquids whose boiling points differs more than 25 Kelvin. Thus, we solved Jago problem as well. Let's move on to the next person problem. Oh, he is a scientist. His name is Gerald. Let's ask him what problem he's facing.
Hey, I'm Gerald. I'd like to explore more in chemical reaction. While exploring, I accidentally mixed acetone and benzene. Now I need to separate these two miscible liquids. Can you please help me out?
Yes, so scientist, by mistake, he has mixed two miscible liquids, which is nothing but an acetone and the benzene. We can use simple distillation method to separate, but that method will be effective only if the difference in boiling point is more than 25 Kelvin. When we take the boiling point of acetone, it is 56 degrees Celsius, and the boiling point of benzene is 80 degrees Celsius. The difference between these two, benzene and acetone, would be 24 Kelvin. Thus, we use an advanced method of simple distillation, which is the fractional distillation method.
Separation of acetone and benzene by fractional distillation. As the difference in boiling points of acetone, whose boiling point is 329 Kelvin, and benzene, whose boiling point is 353 Kelvin, is only 24 Kelvin. Their mixture can be separated by the process of fractional distillation using fractionating column. Let's see how this can be done. The mixture is taken in the distillation flask. Fractionating column is inserted between distillation flask and Liebig water condenser. The flask is heated on water bar. At a steady temperature of 329 Kelvin, acetone distills out and is collected as first fraction in the receiver. The vapors of benzene are cooled in the column, and liquid benzene trickles down back into the flask. When acetone is distilled out completely, the temperature starts rising, and the receiver is changed. When the temperature becomes steady at 353 Kelvin, benzene distills out and is collected as second fraction in the receiver. Acetone and benzene can be further purified by redistillation.
Yes. So thus we separated the two miscible liquid, which is acetone and benzene, and solved the problem of the scientist Gerald. Good, we have solved everyone's problem. Well done, dear students. Thank you for your cooperation. So let's do a small activity now. Let's take a piece of white chalk and dip it in what ink of any preferred color. So what do you observe here? The chalk seems to be like this, right? Here there are two important properties taking place. One is absorption and other is adsorption. So adsorption is the process in which the particles of a substance is concentrated only at the surface of another substance. And another process is an absorption. So absorption is the process in which the substance is uniformly distributed throughout the bulk of another substance. You can see in this image itself, right? Absorption gets distributed throughout the bulk of the substance, whereas this adsorption, it absorbs only the first layer of the substance, right? Yes. So the best example for adsorption is the chalk. When you dip the chalk in ink and if you write it in a board, the the color of the chalk remains for a small amount of time. And if you write more, again it turns to white chalk, right? Whereas for the best example of absorption, you take a sponge or a cotton ball, dip it in a water. What do you observe? The sponge totally gets absorbed, right? The totally absorbs the water. The sponge absorbs water. This would be the best example for absorption. So, in chalk, the surface retains the color of the ink due to adsorption of colored molecules, while the solvent of the ink goes deeper into the chalk due to absorption. Thus, on breaking of chalk, it is found to be white from inside. Chromatography is also a separation technique. It is used to separate different components of mixture based on different solubility in the same solvent.
Chromatography. This process of separation of color components from a mixture is known as chromatography. Chroma in Greek means color. It is the technique used to separate those solutes that dissolve in the same solvent. Let us explain with the help of activity. Take a thin strip of chromatography paper. Draw a line on it using a pencil approximately 3 cm above the lower edge. Now put a small drop of ink, water soluble, that is, from a sketch pen or a fountain pen, at the center of the line. Let it dry. Put the filter paper into the jar containing water so that the drop of ink on the paper is just above the water level and leave it undisturbed. Watch carefully as the water rises up on the filter paper. Record your observations. We observe that the water rises on the filter paper. It takes along with it the dye particles. The colored component that is more soluble in water rises faster, and in this way the colors get separated. This method is used in colors in a dye pigments from natural colors and drugs from blood.
Yes. Thus, chromatography is also a separation technique. Hope you all understood today's topic. That's it for today's class. So, we saw 6 methods of separation of mixtures, right? What are they? Sublimation, centrifugation, solvent extraction, simple distillation, fractional distillation, and chromatography. Hope you all understood today's topic. It all comes under separation of mixtures. For different types of mixtures, the method of separation varies. Yes. So, can we all summarize what we all learned today? So, types of mixtures we know: heterogeneous mixtures and homogeneous mixture. Under mixture, if it is a solid and solid mixtures, the best method to use is a sublimation method. If we have an insoluble solid and a liquid, then the best method of separation used is the centrifugation method. If we have two immiscible liquids, which is the best example of oil and water, we can use solvent extraction method. When it comes to homogeneous mixtures like a soluble solid and liquid, the best example of this mixture is a salt solution. We can use simple distillation method to separate those mixtures. When it comes to two miscible liquids, that is the acetone and benzene we saw, right? The best method of separation is fractional distillation method. It is an advanced method of simple distillation. Okay, and if we want to separate the solution of two or more solids in a liquid, then the best method would be the chromatography method. Hope you all understood. So let's move on to the assignment part. The assignment for you is the name the apparatus that you will use to separate the components of mixtures containing two miscible liquids, two immiscible liquids, insoluble solid, and liquid. When it comes to miscible liquids, what is meant by miscible? It just mix with the another liquids. Two liquids mix with each other. When it comes to immiscible, two liquids get separated. The best example would be the oil and water, right? So think clearly and answer these questions. Thank you, students. Stay home, stay safe.